Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
And now for a devotional song, it will be sung by Sanchari.
तेरे मन में राम तन में राम, मन में राम तन में राम, रोम रोम में राम रे, रोम रोम में राम रे। राम से मर ले ध्यान लगा दे, छोड़ जगत के काम रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम 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 रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम राम राम। माया में तू उलझा उलझा दर दर धूल उड़ाए, अब तड़पा क्यों मन भारी जब माया साथ छुड़ाए। माया में तू उलझा उलझा दर दर धूल उड़ाए, अब तड़पा क्यों मन भारी जब माया साथ छुड़ाए। देर नहीं है अब भी बंदे, देर नहीं है अब भी बंदे, ले ले उसका नाम रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम 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 रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम राम राम। तन के भीतर 5 लुटेरे डाल रहे हैं डेरा, काम क्रोध मद लोभ मोह ने तुझको ऐसा घेरा। तन के भीतर 5 लुटेरे डाल रहे हैं डेरा, काम क्रोध मोह लोभ मोह ने तुझको ऐसा घेरा। भूल गया तू राम रतन रे, भूल गया तू राम रतन रे, भूला पूजा का काम रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम 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 रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम राम राम। बचपन बीता खेल खेल में भरी जवानी सोया, देख बुढ़ापा सोचे अब तू क्या पाया क्या खोया। बचपन बीता खेल खेल में भरी जवानी सोया, देख बुढ़ापा सोचे अब तू क्या पाया क्या खोया। दिन तो बीता दौड़ धूप में, दिन तो बीता दौड़ धूप में, ढल जाए ना शाम रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम 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 रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम राम राम। तेरे मन में राम तन में राम, मन में राम तन में राम, रोम रोम में राम रे, रोम रोम में राम रे। राम सिमर ले ध्यान लगा दे, छोड़ जगत के काम रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम 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 रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम 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 रे। बोलो राम, बोलो राम, बोलो राम राम राम।
Let's give her a hand. So once again, we are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujyatman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda. He continues with the lecture series on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is series 2018, lecture number 25. And now our beloved Guru, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Vasudevaskutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 3, which is known as Karma Yoga, giving insight into Karma Yoga. And the verse number is 16. And the bhajan you have heard gives you the theme of this. Give up this forest, entanglements of thorns, and Ram Naam bhajan kar. This another village way of saying, Janja manja chhad kar, Ram Naam bhajan kar. Janja manja means everything you touch, it puts bacteria, allergies, gets things more wild and drives you crazy. That's the word. Drives you crazy. You do so much, and then who is greeting you? Old age. Shaking hands, brother. He is Janja Manja. So chhad de and simply enjoy the sweet name and soar. Sounds good. Now comes another shocking understanding. In order to do that, you have to turn to Karma Yoga. If you get the idea, if I give up, just follow the teaching as it says. Hard. Leave it, sit down on your chair, don't get up at all. How simple. Why people make it so complex? But hardly will be there on your chair for 10 minutes. Your mind is thinking about tea, chocolates, or whatever. Thinking about people, memories. But in the beginning we'll say, oh, out, Janya Banja. I'm thinking of Ram. But as you do, we get so tired, driving all those things away. And hardly half an hour has passed. You are completely stressed. You did more work than your imagination that you have been out of work. You have let them all move away. So this is misunderstanding of a project, and you need to understand it. First point, yes, this is the ideal. Give up this whole world. But in order to give this world and all this stress, etc., you need to perform, allow your energy to flow in such a way that all the vikaras, the negative impurities within you, become sublimated. And only through work you can sublimate them. If you sit back with the idea that since I cannot handle my temper, so I will stay with the temple. So if you do that, you are not allowing your energy to go through a change, a transformation. Your energy just stays locked up. In your mind, it may give you an illusion that you have controlled it. But that illusion is not of help. But when you are allowing yourself to flow, then you go on looking into your temper. First, it used to be meaningless temper. But now you find it has a meaning behind it. Soon you find it has a purpose. And then you begin to find that it is a secret weapon, you have to hide it. To be used only once a year. It's a Brahmavan. And then what happens? You lose the memory of what you have said. Where you have hidden it. I've given a humorous set. Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati heya aghayurindriya ramo mogham partha sajivati. One who does not follow the wheel that is set in motion by the Divine Self, O Arjuna, though delighting in sense pleasures, he is steeped in sinfulness and he lives in vain. Living in vain means not just living in arteries and veins. Living in vain means you are not fulfilling the purpose of life. 4 purposes: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. In the same sequence, dharma, ethical value. Day by day, what should you secure, which is the foundation? Ethical, moral, heart-based movement. If that itself, that is ignored, and you are moving to secure things on the basis of lying to yourself, lying to others, and using buttery talks to let your ego win. I'm going leading you that way, but understand. Coming to the topic now, one who does not follow the wheel in motion. The references to the previous verses, which have described that all souls, they have bodies. Through the body you attain the purpose of life. Dharma, as was explaining, dharma, artha, ethical value, material value, social value, and liberation. If your life accomplishes in this sequence, and don't go after sequence either, accomplishes these, then you are fulfilling the purpose of life. Otherwise, you are living purposelessly. You will be repeating the same experience again and again. Now, in order to understand the solution to this predicament, follow the chakra, the chain that has been described before. This is done in an allegorical way. The body has been given to the soul for attaining the purpose. But that body is sustained by food. Giving a very practical lead. If you go into a little higher level, see, there is our kindergarten, there is a primary school, it's a middle school, it's old time. In a higher level, food means not just physical food, but more of your food for your thoughts and feelings. But in order to allow this topic to move in a smooth way, I am not touching the higher at this stage. Just the food that you eat. That food also comes in 3 grades: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. You choose the type of food that simply makes you dull-wit and sleep. Or we choose that type of food that will make you very active. So active that you throw away your bed. Or you take food, the sattvic, that allows you to relax, allows you to think, allows you to go after the purposes of your life. If that's not so remarkable, simply think of health. Health and happiness. You want to enjoy a healthy life. Sattvic food is the answer. But sattvic food again is not something that God has stamped upon it. It is sattvic. What is sattvic to one personality may not be sattvic to another personality. I am talking just of even fruits, bananas, apples. Some may not like bananas. They are benefited more by apples. Of course, news media there doesn't like bananas. All false news come under bananas. Only solid things are apples. But I'm distracting you. Let me go to the topic. You consider banana as a sattvic food? Yes, it is. According to Ayurveda, it is. But with poor digestion, if you are taking banana, it won't be sattvic. Even with good stomach, one banana is good and healthy. But to go after 3 or 4 bananas, so it is not sattvic. So understand, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic food. And this is a vast topic, and this is a topic that people are being drawn to it. Because ultimately people do like to have good health. So Google brings out all these topics. which herb can give you what type of benefit. How simple little herbs can make your life much better. So all that comes under the ahar, food. But then, where does the food come from, and how can the food allow itself to be well developed? Rains. Rains are not in our control. Now, old time Vedic way of understanding, rains come because of your yajna karmas. Your karmas, you perform yajna. The smoke comes from it. It triggers the god of Varuna up there in the heavenly world. I'm leading you to a little allegorical understanding. And as a result, rain comes. So rain has its source in a divine hand, but divine in the form of heavenly gods. And the power that comes to those gods, that power is authenticated by the Vedas. Yajnas are performed under the guidance of the Vedas. And Vedas are breath of Brahma, creator. And Brahma will not be breathing without Brahman. So you are gone into a big movement. Food needs rains. In order to allow rains to come, you need to turn your action into yajna. And in order to turn your action into yajna, you have to have the Vedic insight, the Vedic source, the source of revelations. And those source of revelations come from the ultimate source, Brahman. And that Brahman, therefore, is touching you from the very beginning process, the whole cycle. It goes on until you become one with Brahman. Brahman will not leave you from this chain. This is the chain they are talking about. But it's very highly allegorical, and let me give you more details about it. First, considering just the physical plane, your mind and matter, both are so connected. Consider just the physical personality. Even the type of embodiment you have, you were not the architect, you didn't plan that. You were surprised to find how you are. Your parents said that's the way you looked, and that's the way you are. I'm joking, but the idea to understand, led by your karma. See, certain souls did their karmas and they have become peacocks. So all the feathers, where do they come from? All the resources that are in the universe, led by karma, all the resources have been drawn. Big artists have been consulted. Fans have been created. There are countless things have happened. And result, mind is fashioning, molding the matter. Stay locked up in your room in a morose state and then come out. How do you look? What happened to your body? People say, what's the matter? On the other hand, allow yourself to be inspired, do something good, joyous. It allows your heart to feel blossoming, wafting. And then see how you feel, only how your body feels. So mind and matter is not only relating to your body, but relating to the world around you. Scientists are turning to their attention, they have no choice, with all these weather conditions becoming strange to handle. They are talking about how human beings should stop so many things so that weather conditions that are happening due to wrong use of energy, wrong way energy being used. If that is stopped, you can control that weather. If you don't, tremendous changes will come. So behind all that is human mind. This very broad way to understand. All this topic covers a vast range. If you are not in that highly sensitive state, then your attention is drawn to plant few things around you and every day sing a song. Those things you have planted, they blossom, they smile at you. It's not just imagination. There's scientific experiment behind it. So whether you allow the experiment in a small scale or view it in the whole world scale, the karmas that people do, the mental attitude they possess, and the way they attune themselves to God, all these underlie not only the earth planet, but the whole universe. So that's the point. Now coming to another way of understanding, which is more simple and soul, in order to fulfill the purposes of its existence, need to have ahar. Ahar is food. Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhi. Now, but the food that you have, it should be pure. But what is ahar, food? All things that you perceive by your senses, they are food, because they ultimately get into your mind, they become food for your thought. The books you study, the talks you entertain, the whole world is giving you constant food, impacting upon your mind. Allow that food to be pure. In every day there is a little choice to avoid lots of gossips and go sip some goat milk. Cow's milk. Cow's milk is Upanishadic teaching. Gossip versus gossip. So you are changing your diet. Aha, your diet is changed. Ahara shuddha, sattva shuddhi. Now your holy antahkarana, your very heart, the firmament of your heart becomes clearer, as if a moon has come into the sky. Your heart has great powers. It can bring in more happiness than even the moon becomes and does to the sky. Because the heart begins to envision the divine presence, God. And God is more than million moons. So, ahara shuddha, sattva shuddhi. As ahar, your thinking, your hearing, your touching, and all these associations become pure. Within your heart, you begin to develop an awareness of divine presence. You don't have to go anywhere. Sattva shuddha dhruva smriti. The moment that advances purity of heart, now you are not recalling yourself as a struggling, miserable individual. You are recalling yourself as a ray of God that has been separated for some strange reason, and now coming to be united with God. There is no other memory. It's separated from my beloved, and I'm going to be united with my beloved. That's called dhruva smriti. Nothing to remember. People will confuse it with a loss of memory. Sruvad smratavu sarvaganthinam vipramoksha. If you have developed that type of spiritual recall, it comes in progressive manner. You don't have all in one day, but that's what you live for. Then all the knots of your heart, the bondage caused by karma, karma bandhan, karma granthi, kama granthi, caused by your desires, and avidya granthi, avidya, kama, karma. These are called the knots of the heart. It makes your soul naughty. Instead of going to the right direction, it goes after janja banja. Yastvatma ratireva syadatma triptascha manavah atmanyeva cha santushta tasya karyam na vidyate. For one who delights in the self, is satisfied by the self, and finds contentment in the self, there exists no action that needs to be performed. This is the highest state of attainment, what is known as Chitta Prajna, established in your own self. This is the goal you are working for. Every now and then the goal is brought into the teaching so that you don't slip away from the real target. And the goal is delighting in the self. But what happens when you don't have that deeper level think of simple example, the sun, you look into a jar with water, and the sun seems to be there in that jar. That sun that is reflecting in the jar, that is far from the reality of the sun. And yet, it is nothing but the sun. So now figure out. That's the riddle. As a jiva, soul, you are a reflected sun in the jar where the water is a mental process. Mind is like water. And through every mind, this same source operates as jiva, the soul. And every soul is in a different predicament, though essentially the same Brahman. Once you realize that I am Brahman, and you don't have the limitation caused by the water and the jar and so many things around you, now your satisfaction is beyond. This is a question of being satisfied which jar to go to, kick one pot and which pot to go to. That question doesn't arise. You are absolute trypt, satisfied. The question of discovering satisfaction doesn't arise. Sun is satisfied with its shine. Sky is satisfied with its expansion. And God is absolute full. But allegorically, when you attain that realization, you have the same status as God. I'm talking, the question of same status doesn't arise. God alone is. So satisfied by the self, finds contentment in the self. There exists no action that needs to be performed. Having attained self-realization, all that is to be attained, you have attained it. All that is to be performed, you have performed it. All that is to be enjoyed, you have enjoyed it. And thus ends the story of your life and the soul. Satsanga has not ended. Naiva tasya kritenartho na kriteneha kashana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kashchit aravyaptashrayah. Performance or non-performance of action does not serve any purpose for one who delights in the self, because such an enlightened sage does not depend upon any being for anything. Two ways you have to understand. First, allegorically, sun does not depend upon all those little reflections and what they do and what they don't do. Both ways. In the same way, one who has attained enlightenment, his awareness is not awareness of body, awareness of mind. His awareness is not in the realm of senses or mind. His awareness, pure awareness. Here you must understand that your personality acts like iPad. Only difference is your ordinary iPad is a small eye. This one is a big eye. And your nervous set, brain especially, is that pad. And ego plays the mouse button trick. And all this vast world you are studying ends up where? Little skull. With most abstract, complex brain tissues. Not very secure, constantly floating. And that brings you this amazing experience of life. So try to now understand that though your little iPads bring so much mystery and glory, but behind that there is a broader universal energy. Similarly, all that your mind, your brain do, behind that there is I am, the real I am. It is that I am absolute that is expressing through every little iPad of the brain. And it's a kind of a website. And even Vedas have used the same word. Just like a spider weaves web, this whole universe has been woven like a web through Maya, cosmic illusion. And it has www. Who am I? Why am I? Where am I? And your ego plays the mouse button. So, now coming to more profounder way. All that I'm saying is profound, but you must realize from a more practical point of view, first point to understand, as you move towards enlightenment, you do not hold in your mind a plan. Just like always there, if I attain PhD, then what will I do? If I complete my education, then what job should I adopt? Same thing mind says, if I become enlightened, then what should we do? Should I go to India? Build an ashram? No. The state of enlightenment. Now, from practical point of view, led by your karma, because even Jivan Mukta is basically led by his karma, he is born as a person. Having attained enlightenment, all karmas are destroyed. But the prarabdha karma that gave you your body, that must run its course. So while it is running its course, and while in the eyes of others, you see a saintly personality, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramana Maharshi, whomsoever, going through their physical details, and they age, they pass away. And in physical state, you can describe, it comes, deh dhare ka dand hai, sab kahu ko hoye. You never think that one who has become a sage has become very fortunate in the worldly terms. From a physical point of view, all possibilities of experience are as much there for a sage as for anybody else. But the only difference, that sage is not confined to it. Clouds come into the sky, and you see the sky raining tears in torrential manner, miserable. But ask the sky, it has nothing to do with it. That is your ideal. If you reach that, that's called enlightenment. Enlightenment doesn't mean that now you are just sky. No clouds ever come, no rains. Every day shines wonderful for you. Every food is just nectar. Everyone who visits you just smiling. Rather, the picture is more horrible than you can imagine. Enlightened sages see Christ being captured by people, dragged, carrying cross, and subjected to such torture, cannot imagine. And yet, nothing matters. I am dying in your hands. Not only all this was for him, but he becomes an exemplary for countless people. That's the role of a sage. Whatever he goes through in his personality becomes a source of inspiration for others. That again is not from his deepest level, it has not been planned, because once you have attained enlightenment, there is no planning, no scheming, nothing else there. The deepest level, that is settled state. But operating through the body, now that becomes the plan for the masses. Not only inspiration for during the time they exist, but for all times, because they are exemplifying being a channel of God's wisdom, God's will. And God's will is forever effective in the world. So in other words, all that you receive from Jesus, from Buddha, there is no limit of time. Even thousands of years later, people will still quote these and be inspired. नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदव्यय आश्रयः. This I have already read it. And we get into 19th. Tasmad saktah satatam karyam karma samachara asakto yacharan karma paramapnoti purusha. Therefore, perform your duties without attachment to fruits of karma. With all the logic, ultimately, first point, you cannot leave karma. So don't stay with that type of problem in your mind. Karmas have to be performed. And it's good luck that you have the possibility to do the karmas. Only thing now, turn your karma into karma yoga. While you do karma from the backside, hold on to God. Or view yourself enfolded by God. So God is holding you and you are in His arms. Once you develop that idea, go on doing all things that you have to do, using your intellect, using your conscience, using your judgment, and all that you have to do. Leave no stone unturned. Do it. Live your life. But don't forget who is holding you. And don't forget, He is clever enough. The moment you do too much, go after negative, He twists your ears a little. He doesn't even have a twist in your ears. You don't even know how He did it. If you develop that type of insight or work for it, then your karma is becoming karma yoga. And that's the biggest change. As karma, you can go on for millions of lives and we accomplish nothing. Karma yoga, you attain enlightenment. And time, it doesn't matter. Once karma yoga has started, time is not a pressure. Whatever time you have, you are enjoying it. And attainment is sahaj, spontaneous. So with this I'm going to conclude. Progress is very small one. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om.